It's time to start working on my special Schwinn frame. This is the only medium in silver Schwinn Axum Sport frame that exists in the United States. Thank you, Schwinn. You are very, very awesome. I need to put headset cups in this because it's a bare frame. And if you're upgrading your bike, let's say you bought an Axum Sport and you decide to take off the fork and put in a better fork and you buy a tapered fork, this has a tapered head tube. Most of the modern Schwinn bikes and even modern budget mountain bikes that we buy these days, they have a tapered head tube, and that's good. It was a big deal. Still is today because you have some bike shop bikes that haven't even went this far. Schwinn's ahead of the game in that category. But if you upgrade to a tapered fork, you're going to need a tapered headset cup for this bottom. They're usually sold in sets anyway. This is a whole kit. This even has sealed bearings, good stuff. Look at this fancy CNC top cap with a kind of bat look to it. But headset cups, well, there's a way to get them in, and only one way to get them in. You have to press them in, because as I lay this on here, you can see I can't push it in. They just only go in so far, and then they have to be physically pressed in. And there is a specific tool to do this, the quote proper tool. And that's what bike shops use. It's made by Park Tool, at least the popular one is, but it's quite expensive, well over $100. And I'm cheap. I ride budget bikes. So when it came to me wanting to press in headset cups for way too long, I just took it down to the local bike shop and I let them use that proper tool to press it in. But then over time I started thinking about it. I should really be able to do this, but also, I'm a very budget-centric person, and their budget headset pressing tools, they're kind of, well, that Park Tool minus. You have to use an external wrench on the bottom. I'm budget. I went super cheap. I picked this up. It's a pressing tool, but wow, when I went to use this, super, super frustrating, because if you watch videos talking about pressing in headset cups, they say one thing and they stress it over and over. You have to get this perfectly straight into the head tube. If you do not, you can damage the head tube if you drive it in crooked. So they say perfectly straight from start to finish. So when I started using this tool, and it's in here with these spacers. Now the spacers, there's one on top, one on the bottom, and I even had to use a wider spacer for tapered headsets, but look how much room there is, how much free play. So as I'm trying to press in, especially the lower headset cup, it would just go all over the place. So that means my budget headset tool was a no-go, and I ended up still going to the bike shop. Also want to mention that if you bought the bike and you have a headset in there, you need to knock out the old cups before you can put in the new, especially if you want to go from that factory straight steer fork to a tapered, you're going to need to knock these out. There's a tool for that. I'll talk about that in just a second. But getting back to where I was still going to the bike shop. And at one point, the bike shop manager said, "You come in here so often. For us to do headset cups, you could have bought the tool by now." So he decided to let me give it a go with that expensive tool. And I started running it in, and well, things were going all over the place on me. I couldn't understand it. I'm using the expensive specialty tool. I'm having about as much problem with it as I did with this cheap $16 deal that didn't work for me. So I figured I just wasn't professional enough. I let him do it. And then I watched very, very closely. And I watched that, well, just like when I would be doing it, it would go in just a little bit off. A 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch on one side. Then he would loosen and correct and run it in a little bit. And then it would get off on the other side. He would loosen, correct, run it in a little bit until eventually he had the headset cups seated properly. And right about that time, I had someone comment on a video. They also worked in a bike shop. They have the expensive tool, but they don't use it. They use something very basic. They said it's faster, easier, and guaranteed to work every time. So what is it that will get this into the head tube easier than with the expensive proper tool? You're not going to believe this. It's a hammer and a wood block. I've been doing it ever since, and I haven't had a problem, and it's saved me a lot of money. So we're going to do that today. We're going to run in these headset cups with just this hammer, with just this wood block, and a little bit of grease. That's important. You need to lubricate both the inside of the head tube and these headset cups to help them slide in as smooth as possible. But just with these three things, and by the way, this is the grease I use on every bike, White Lightning Crystal. The reason I've chosen this one has big temperature range, and it's non-toxic. Very important to me. I mean, I mess around with bikes all the time. I don't want chemicals. Oh, also made in USA. Look at that. Pretty good. I'll put links to all of the stuff that I can. And I figure since I'm not using the expensive Park Tool pressing tool, I'll use a Park Tool hammer. But there's also another reason that I'm using that we'll talk about in just a minute. So let's get to it using 2 basic tools and some lubricant of some kind of grease. Let's press in some headset cups. Now normally I start with the bottom. There's a reason that I do that. I'll cover that in just a minute. But for this video, I'm going to do the top first since I already have everything set up here. It'll be easy for me to just whack this in. Plus, it's already all level and everything. It's just good timing. So I'm going to take my headset cup, my upper headset cup. I've taken out all the insides, the bearings, spacer, all that. I'm going to take my White Lightning non-toxic grease. I'm going to squeeze some. Oh, I have a hole in this. I knew I rolled over it the other day. So let's see if I can even get enough out here. Yeah. I'm going to squeeze this all the way around here. Then I'm going to gob some on my finger. And I'm going to run that inside this frame right up at the top at this lip. And be careful because there's a secondary lip inside here. And it is usually very, very sharp, especially on budget bikes. So I've got all that lubricated up. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of roughly place this into spot. Plenty of lubricant here will wipe off the excess after. So what I've done here is I've placed this headset cup as level as I can get it. And just looking at it there, I can tell it's level. I'm going to take my wood block, just a little 2x4 section that I use here, and ideally I could probably make a handle onto this and it would be even easier, but I'm going to lay that on there and I'm going to double verify that I have everything level. I'm going to be using this as a double-ended hammer. I'm going to be using the actual hammer end of this. This one not especially heavy, that comes in handy here. I've even done this with a small. Anything light, it's better the light, easy taps. All right, so let's give it a whack. So I've verified that this is on there even, and I'm going to try to hit this right in the dead center, and I'm just going to do it once, and I'm just holding onto the block so it doesn't fall. And I'm going to back up, and I'm going to look. And I see that that is super, super even going in. I'm in good shape already. If this is a little canted, you'll want to knock it out. And that's why I use a hammer with a thin hole, because I can go in on the bottom and I can get on the lip. I almost knocked it out just by doing that. You can use a stick, you can use a dowel. There's actually a specialty tool that will drop down. See if I can catch it. Yep. This pulls through and those tines open up. That allows me to tap the headset cup without getting into the actual head tube. Pretty handy little tool. I've used it a lot. I'll put a link to this in the description as well. But the super cheap method is get a hammer that has a shaft small enough that it'll go up in there. And this is why I typically do the bottom first, because this hammer, I have the benefit, it will fit in this top. But many hammers will not. And if you do the top and you can't get your hammer in there, and then you try to do the bottom and you get it off, it's going to be very difficult to get something down in there, or at least the hammer that you're using if it doesn't fit. But in this case, pretty good hammer, and pretty good job. But if this were at all off, I would knock it out and I would start over. But I'm good here. I'm good. It's a good straight run. So I'm going to recenter my block. Going to step back, look at it again, just to verify. And I'm going to do the same thing. Hammer side, right in the middle, one whack. I'm going to back up and I'm going to look. And I can already see, can you see this? This side is in just about a 1/16 of an inch more than this side. So see, it's already tilted. And this is where I was messing up. Because even with my budget tools, I was always all over the place. And everyone said it has to be perfectly straight all the way in. But that is a lie. At least when I started watching the bike shop do it, you can be just a little bit off as long as you course correct. Let's do that now. I'm going to take my wood block and I'm going to favor this side because this is the high side, that's the low side. So rather than hitting in the center, I'm going to hit on this side right over where that cup is, just with another light tap. And look at that. It's already pressed down. I'm still maybe a millimeter off, but we're in really good shape. That's how easy it is. So if it gets a little off, just a light tap on whatever side it needs to go around and drive it in even. But I'm far enough in now that I can give it one good whack here. And look at that. That is seated. Go around. Just to ensure that everything is in place, I'm going to wipe off my grease here. And let's admire the handiwork. I'm going to give another quick look, make sure all the way around that this is fully seated, and that's what I'm seeing. A perfect seated cup. Now all I need to do is the bottom. And again, I usually start with the bottom, but in this case, just for this video, I'm starting with the top. There's one special thing that I do whenever I'm doing the bottom. I flip the frame upside down. Makes it easier to get to everything. And it's easy for me because I have this part tool stand. This is the PCS 10.2. Not my favorite, but better than some of the others that I've used. It's held up all these years. It's collapsible. I'm not plugging for part tool because I probably wouldn't buy this exact same stand again. But when their tools do work, like this mallet, any of their other tools that I use, it's because they work. So, you know, got to give credit where credit is due. Just so you can see, we're upside down. There's the cup we've already pressed in, and here's what we're going to be working on now. Look at that. And there's another lip I was talking about. And there's the writing when I unveiled this frame. Has writing on it. So let's get the lower end. It works just like the upper. I'm going to go ahead and grease inside this cup. Remember, be careful with your fingers because there's a little roughness right there that I can feel. Maybe some shipping. I don't remember me doing anything. That's not going to matter. Another good bead of grease around this. It's always fun working with it until it squishes everywhere. Then it's not so fun. So I'm just going to kind of set it in place here. Evenly in place is my goal. Not working out because there's a little rough lip right there. I've got my wood block. I've got my mallet. I can tell which side of the wood block I've been using because of the grease. And I'm going to use this flat side here so that with this tube, I don't want to get into my frame here. Even with wood, really wouldn't damage it. I like to be careful. So I'm going to situate that. I'm going to step back, and I can already tell that just by laying that on there, I got that a little off. You know, that little burr might be a problem. Let me take care of that. I don't want anything causing a guiding problem there. So see what I'm working out right there? Just that little bit of a burr. Oh yeah, that made a difference. Now it's good and seated. Not feeling any wobble there. So I'm going to put my block in place. Going to try to not affect you here and get out of the way. And I'm going to do my one dead center whack. Take it off and I'm going to look. And see, that's up a little high. That's low, but that's fine. Even this, I can adjust. I'm not even going to knock this out. I'm just going to tap over here. Just one time. Let me give it a little harder. A little more. Oh, there we go. She's straightening up now. Yeah, look at that. See how it's already straightened up? So now I'm going to go right back to knocking it in the center again, taking care not to hit my frame. Get this. Oh, look how good that went. A few small whacks all the way around. Clean it up and see what I did here. See if this looks good or if it's off at all. Oh yeah, this looks good. Look at that. Another perfectly seated cup. That's two. Here's the top, here's the bottom. You can see this is a smaller diameter than this. If I look through here, see how I can't see it from this side, but if I flip it over, look at that. You can see that taper. Yeah, good setup on these Schwinn frames. Good frames. Look at the welds here. And now, ready for a tapered fork. That's how easy it is. Just using wood, not a fancy tool. This has been used for years and years. All the bikes, I would say the past, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years that you've seen me upgrade, all the little marks that are in this wood block is from doing this job on countless bikes. A lot cheaper than those custom tools as well, right? There you go. Links in the description to the 3 tools that I use. You have to bring your own wood block. And of course, the part tool stand, though, you know, to each their own, but I wouldn't buy this one again. Just personally, it won't hold e-bikes that well. It tends to fall down with a heavy e-bike. Regular bikes it works great for. But this is what I use to get the job done. And now I'm tapered fork ready. So comment below if videos like this help you out, and I'll consider making more of them. This, just the headset pressing, would have been a member thing, but I decided since I wanted to talk about the wood block, this was mass audience worthy. But you'll get to see some other small incremental upgrades on this bike as a channel member. I appreciate you just being here. I hope you're subscribed. But even if you aren't, just watching the channel really makes me happy, and I hope the information here helps you. Thumbs up this video if you found it beneficial. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.